The cluster started in hotel quarantine.
We have tested the 2 people who were security guards from a Medi hotel and the 1 person that works in the Medi hotel from back of house.
It's fair to say that we are now facing our biggest test to date.
And the Premier's taking no chances, ordering a 2-week partial lockdown.
We must act swiftly and decisively. We cannot wait to see how bad this gets.
But the response of other states has been split. Some have slammed borders shut, others have reintroduced mandatory quarantine. WA announcing the move while an Adelaide to Perth flight was still in the air.
We're just kind of feeling pretty miserable for it.
Didn't know when we left.
It's pretty devastating.
There is still so much we don't know about this outbreak.
Adelaide will become a hotspot and that will take effect from 11:59 p.m. tonight.
The health and safety of Tasmanians is our top priority.
Victoria and New South Wales, who know a thing or two about controlling clusters, won't be restricting movement.
We'll have a cautious approach, and getting from South Australia to Melbourne might mean a bit more time at the airport.
We need to live with COVID, and every time there's an outbreak, you can't shut down borders, disrupt lives, disrupt businesses.
The road to COVID normal will be paved with potholes like this one.
The virus hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there. And it will seek to exploit any vulnerability, how small or great. And that's why there are layers to our defences.
So, are we prepared to ride out the bumps?
Well, Jane Holton is on the Federal COVID Commission and is familiar with South Australia's hotel quarantine system. She joins us now. Jane, as we reopen borders, we knew that more outbreaks were bound to happen. Were you surprised at just how quickly this one's expanded?
No, I wasn't. I mean, there's always a little bit of risk in hotel quarantine, as we know, and sadly we've had an outbreak. But we're hoping that the South Australian authorities are going to get right on top of it and really quickly.
Well, Jane, on that, Premier Stephen Marshall has introduced a lockdown just about immediately. Has he jumped the gun?
Look, he's probably being prudent. I mean, the numbers that we saw today, 17, they're not small, and I think it's the next 24 or 48 hours that we're all going to be watching with great interest. If their contact tracing has gone hard and fast and found a lot of it, and they have really quick testing in South Australia, certainly what I know of it suggests that it's good, that will be great, but he's taking a prudent step, I think, just to basically limit any damage.
This certainly seems to be another hotel quarantine failure, again involving private security. Have we learnt nothing from what happened in Victoria?
Well, let's remember that most of the states and territories use some form of security and not all of it is police or army. And to my mind, it's not the colour of the uniform or the type of the uniform you wear, it's whether you're properly trained. And let's remember, even in hospitals that are designed to set up really to do with infection control, we do get these kinds of breaches. The challenge is, what does your second line of defence look like? Does it work? And can you find these cases really quickly?
Jane, it's been a long time since South Australia's had any community transmission. Are you worried that South Australians aren't maybe battle-hardened? I mean, we saw them lining up for testing, not wearing masks. Are you worried about complacency?
I'm worried about the complacency everywhere, actually. This virus has not gone away, and as I go around Sydney or Canberra doing my business, you don't see people with masks, and I think it is an issue. What I'm hoping is that everyone pays real attention to this and they deal with masks and hand hygiene, etc. now.
The Prime Minister wants the country open by Christmas. I think everybody wants to be able to move freely. Already now, states have shut the borders to South Australia. Is that the right move, or should we be keeping them open and just learning to live with it now?
There's probably a mix of both, you know. Certainly closing the borders to people who have been in hotspot areas, which of course is what the Northern Territory has done all the way along, I think is prudent. Starting it to a whole state, I would question whether that's really necessary. But the Prime Minister's right. We all want to go and see our families at Christmas. We're all a bit tired of this. So as long as we don't get complacent and as long as we do manage hotspots and contact tracing, I think we should be able to open up.
Jane, always good to talk. Thanks for your time.
That's my pleasure.
I'm trying to feel optimistic here. I think, get a sense they probably will get on top of this. They know where it started and their contact tracing is probably going to be OK. Imagine you being on that flight from Adelaide to Perth.
Oh my God.
And halfway across, the captain comes on and goes, if you're from South Australia on this plane, you're going to have to quarantine in Perth and pay for it.
Crazy.
When you get there.
I know, with young children. The thing that baffles me is that it's come from hotel quarantine again. Obviously, it's a risky proposition doing hotel quarantine. But in this situation, I was hearing them say this morning that they don't do mandatory testing for staff. They will from now on. It's like, what do you mean from now on? Why haven't you been doing it since you learnt from Victoria where it all went tits up?
Because all the people in quarantine have come from overseas. I mean, that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
From other countries outside of Australia.
Do you think it could be easier to do it. Not easier. We don't want it to be easy necessarily, but easier or safer to do it from home, like quarantining at home.
I don't know about that. Oh, I'd be worried about that. I mean, I think it's a lesser of evils in the hotels. My worry at home is that people would just leave their house willy-nilly.
What about ankle bracelets or something?
You can have ankle bracelets. I mean, that has been deployed around the world.
Yeah.
Ankle bracelet fines, because there seems to be the security guards who are going home and spreading it in the homes or other workplaces.
Well, a simple way to keep people know where they are. Everyone's got a phone, so you could just track them via their phone. You'd know whether they've left home
One
or
quick
not.
thing we should remember, though, here is that it's the exception to the rule, right? Thousands of people on a daily basis are doing fine, hotel security guards and other workers, but unfortunately it's just the nature of the virus, isn't it?
Yeah, good luck to South Australia.